Hey folkies! Let's learn a Polska tune that is just the best type of intense and crazy. This tune is the Polska efter Lars Orre from Älvdalen in western central Sweden. Älvdalen is a region really well known for its very intense and crazy music. It has a lot of blue notes, as you probably have heard. It has uneven rhythms and usually a lot of drones and other things that make the music very intense. It's probably not for everyone, but I personally love this style. It's very much fiddle music also, so usually fiddlers just get into it more easily than other instrument players because it's music that is made for this instrument, at least in big part, and it's very fun to play. Sometimes it's not as fun to listen to. This one goes a lot into the high notes, so it might get a little bit aggressive for some people's ears, so it depends a bit. If you like it, you like it. If you don't yet, give it a chance. Try to play it and you might fall under the spell of Älvdalen. This is a short first beat Polska, which means that we don't do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, but 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Although some bars might have something a bit more straight, so a bit more like 1, 2, 3. But the feeling in general is 1, 2, 3 with this push on the 2. Let's get into the A part at once. Many things to talk about here. First, we're gonna have both a G sharp and a G regular, and both can be slightly blue. How much you want to play them blue is up to you. Usually, I really like to have my G sharp a little bit lower and my G a little bit higher, so they are kind of closer to each other. But here, as we have both very shortly, if you want to make clear the difference between the two, can be a good idea to keep them as far apart as possible. Up to you. If you want to play blue, it can sound something like. And yes, the F is a little bit blue. It's a little bit higher than a tempered F, as it's very often the case in Swedish folk music. Then we also have two different variations possible at the end of the A part. Here I played the simplified version. But I personally tend to play a slightly more complicated version. Once more. And all the possible ornaments, lots of mordents and drills. Just to give you an idea, feel free to put your own. And double stops. The easiest way is to just use the open A while you are playing on the E string. So. very well. But if you want to be even a little bit crazier and, I don't know, more varied, you can use a bit of B with the first finger on the A. And you release. And you can also, when you are playing the D on the A string, use a little bit of open D string, which would give us work with the bow, but it's quite nice. And the concluding phrase, if we take the simplified version, you would just use open strings, except here, double E. E fourth finger and E open string. Very typical of this kind of music. B part. This is where we will really hear those blue notes, as we have a C that is blue. It's a little bit higher than a regular tempered C, if you want. And also the G from the D. It's usually a little bit blue as well. Some people will even play it more like a G sharp. But personally, I've learned the tune with a G blue there. So blue C and blue G. Let's go, starting on a B. Slower, especially for the small ornaments. You want to make the C and the G blue is a little bit up to you. Personally, I noticed that I like to emphasize the C blue because it really creates this weird tension there in the middle of the B part. But the G is so fast that I rarely play it very blue, just a little bit maybe. It kind of happens a bit where it wants. Somehow I'm not really in control of the G. But if you want to play it really blue, you can. If you want to play it as a regular G, tempered G, just it works as well if you want to like have something a little bit calmer for the end phrase, or if you want to go blue really all the way. Double stops are simple but not easy. One possibility is to take the open E string. But as we are playing on the A string, and especially we are using the fourth finger here, it's difficult to get the E to ring without, getting this kind of problem. So, old tip, putting your elbow inside. My first violin teacher, when I was little, would always tell me, your elbow has to look at you from under the violin, like this. So this really helps because then your whole hand just, moves in this direction. And then you have a bit more like a tunnel where the E string can ring. Although it is difficult and it's very hard to get the sound absolutely pure on the E when you're playing this kind of rhythm and this kind of fast ornaments and so on. But so if you have the open E string, you put the elbow in and the A in the middle. And then double A for the ending. Typical open A, fourth finger A. I like this double stop with the open E string because it's really giving you to this crazy feeling of very high, intense tones, but it can be a little bit tiring for people to listen to. So if you play for like a concert, I would not recommend this one, but for dancing it can be really like fat, you know, it's like this kind of aggressive fat folk music, especially when you're in a group and you're like several crazy fiddlers like it's really nice. And it carries the feet of dancers really, really well. I also really like the friction between the blue C, this friction with the open string, but it's hard to play, it's aggressive, and you will probably have problems with the E whistling. So, an alternative to that double stop is to take the lower E, but you will have to use a fifth chord, basically with your index finger. So you put the E and the B, and then you play as you would normally just the bow on the two strings. And you lift when you need to put the A, which gives this kind of parallel fifth feeling, which goes very well into the crazy type of music that this is. And you use just the E and the open A in the middle, and then again, double A. Here we can see very clear signs that this tune works very well with AEAE tuning on fiddle, because then you would not need to put the difficult double stop with the first finger, and you would naturally have the E there, and you would also have the lower A, so that at the end you can do this very nice octave chord. So if you want to play this tune in AEAE tuning, go for it. It's a little bit different fingerings, but it works very well. But it also works very nicely on ADAE or GDAE, as I am tuned right now. Last but not least, if you want to put extra ornaments, usually I would put mine on the second beat, because that's what gives it the little kick that is very typical of short first beat polskas. Chang ta 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 chang ta ta. This extra ta ta. This extra push on the second beat. So I would do and as it's a blue note, it's even more effective somehow. It gives this crazy intense feeling again. Go a bit crazy with the drills and mordents. That's a style that has many. How much? Up to you. So this tune might not be your favorite to listen to. It is a little bit aggressive on the ear, but if you're dancing, you will realize that it's very good for dancing. It has a lot of drive, and to play it's really a blast, especially with other like-minded crazy musicians. It really gets super addictive, I can guarantee. If you would like to get the sheet music for this tune, I give those exclusively on my Patreon, link in the description. And a huge thanks to my patrons, by the way, for their support. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and why not sharing this video with a nerdy musical friend of yours who might be interested. I am Emelie Waldken. I play Scandinavian folk music on nyckelharpa and fiddles, mostly, and I will see you next time. Hej då! Aniti. Talking about tune, I need to tune.